Good morning and welcome to Let's Go Digital, the podcast on digital marketing and innovation. My name is Julia, and in this episode, we will be discussing water management in agriculture and how artificial intelligence can be used wisely. We will try to answer the following question. How can AI help transform water management in agriculture and address current and future challenges in a sustainable and responsible way? We are joined by Florence, who wrote a professional thesis on this very topic, and she will talk to us about this highly relevant matter that concerns us all. Hello, Florence, and how are you?
Hello, Julia. I'm very well, thank you. And thank you for having me today.
You're very welcome. Before we dive into the details, could you please explain the genesis of your chosen topic?
Of course, and thank you for asking. The MBA I'm currently undertaking focuses on digital and innovation. After attending the artificial intelligence course with Alexandre Stopnicki, I realized that AI could serve as the digital element of my thesis. AI is also increasingly a part of public discourse, and its applications are expanding. I wanted to explore a thesis topic that addressed an environmental issue while considering natural resources. This led me to the conclusion that water usage and water resources would make an excellent subject. There are various types of water resources, including fresh water, both hot and cold groundwater, saline water, and surface water, such as still water in lakes or flowing water in rivers. I'm also interested in topics related to agriculture, and after discussing it with my tutor, Thierry Pires, it became clear that I should focus on the intersection of water and agriculture rather than attempting to cover all aspects of water resources.
So let me start with a simple question. What is at stake with this particular resource?
As I stated in my thesis, without water, life on Earth does not exist. It's a simple fact. And while scientists have been discussing scarcity of water resources since the 1990s, the general public has only recently begun to realize that water is not unlimited on Earth. The United Nations has set up 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, and the SDG number 6 aims to guarantee access to water and sanitation for all, while ensuring the sustainable management of water resources. Water scarcity is driven by multiple factors, including climate change, population growth, and intensified urbanization, which place additional stress on water resources, particularly in arid and semi-arid regions. And I would say in addition, water pollution largely attributed to agricultural, industrial, and domestic activities, such as the use of pesticides, nitrates, and phosphates, exacerbates the issue. Other challenges include the degradation of aquatic ecosystems caused by the overexploitation of water resources, the alteration of water courses, and the destruction of wetlands. These factors collectively threaten the delicate balance of biodiversity and ecosystem services. And additionally, competition among Various water usage further complicates resource management. Agriculture, industry, energy production, such as nuclear power plants, and domestic consumption all compete for access to water, creating significant challenges in balancing these demands. And then finally, we must consider the need to adapt to climate change. Extreme weather events such as droughts, floods, tornadoes, fires, are becoming increasingly frequent and severe. This heightened variability calls for adjustments in agricultural practices to better cope with these evolving conditions. And as I mentioned earlier, water is renewable through precipitation, but not unlimited. It is therefore urgent to consider water as a common good, and therefore the urgency of managing this precious resource. At a global level, the UN Framework on Climate Change negotiated a post-2020 international agreement to develop what is called Intended Nationally Determined Contributions, or INDCs. And out of the 129 INDCs, 106 included adaptation measures in water, agriculture, and health. And of course, water scarcity is not equally distributed in Africa, but also in Australia. We all know that water has been an issue for centuries. The difference is that now it's also affecting Europe and developed countries. And therefore, we are now realizing that we must change the way we use freshwater resources.
Could you explain what are the current issues related to water in agriculture?
Well, in France, 92% of agricultural water withdrawals are linked to irrigation. According to a report by the General Commission for Sustainable Development published in February 2024 this year, in 2020, the agricultural sector accounted for 11% of freshwater withdrawals in France, or 3.4 billion cubic meters, following power plant cooling, 45%, drinking water production, 19%, and water for navigation canals. The water actually consumed by all usages, meaning water not returned to aquatic environments after use, average 4.1 billion cubic meters per year, with more than half being used by agriculture. This makes agriculture the largest consumer of water in France. And one of the issues lies in this spatial and temporal distribution, because the vast majority of the water used primarily for crop irrigation is drawn between April and September, coinciding with a low flow period when natural water course levels are at their lowest, and therefore the impact of agricultural withdrawals is particularly significant. And then the other challenge is the fact that in France, in particular, only 1% of treated wastewater is reused, partly for irrigation purposes, but mainly used by councils to clean public areas. And we have also observed that since 1990, renewable water resources have been decreasing, primarily for two reasons. The first one is evapotranspiration has been increasing across all seasons, particularly in spring throughout France. And then the second one is autumn rainfall has declined in nearly half of France, reducing the volume of groundwater. Groundwater flows slowly into rivers and helps sustain them during summer. The other big challenge is climate change. In France, climate change is reshaping water management challenges, potentially reducing summer river flows by 10 to 20%. The impact of climate change on water resources, such as the impact of aquatic systems and their biodiversity, the variation of precipitation, the acceleration of melting ice, the rise in water level and extreme weather events, including floods, storms, droughts, hurricanes, heat waves. All of those impacts are already affecting our agriculture models.
Now that we understand the impacts and challenges we face as a society, including in the agricultural sector, where and how can AI assist with water monitoring and management?
I have identified 6 areas where the use of data and AI can help with water monitoring and management. The first one is real-time water management. In France, water and wastewater networks are equipped with sensors enabling real-time monitoring, which is ensuring the safety of drinking water distribution and the transport of wastewater to treatment plants. The second one is wastewater management, and as I mentioned earlier, wastewater is not reused when we now know that this wastewater could be optimized. AI could be used in identifying chemical and micropollutants. AI could also be used in reducing energy consumption. It could also be used to detect bottlenecks at pumping stations and used in predictive modeling to detect anomalies in wastewater treatment plants. And then the third one is repairing infrastructure and pipelines. AI can be used to help repair pipeline network by semi-automating the review of CCTV inspection recordings and detecting defects. As an example, the UK company United Utilities has been using AI technology since 2018. The fourth one is managing water consumption. Smart metering systems enable real-time readings directly to subscribers' homes without manual intervention, and this system can also detect potential water leaks. The fifth one is reducing the impact of floods. And then the University of Bristol is using machine learning algorithms to fill data gaps in its flood and climate risk models, for example. And then the last one is measuring water reservoir levels. As an example, in Australia, farmers monitor the levels of irrigation reservoirs using nanosatellites. So the use of data and AI is undoubtedly one of the pathways to monitoring and managing water, but it's kind of now up to companies and government to make use of it in the best possible way, I guess.
Thank you. This is very insightful. Could you explain how the agricultural sector uses AI currently?
So I've tried to look at how AI is used and also tried to concentrate on the use of AI within water management. I have identified the following usages in collecting and analyzing information, in precision agriculture, in water management, of course, in leak detection, in soil mapping, in data collection, in seed storage, and in robotics. And so if I take them one by one, so the first one was is collecting and analyzing information. So information such as temperature, weather conditions, soil quality, water quality can be collected and analyzed, and AI is used in this context to reduce workload and minimize losses. In precision agriculture, AI in agriculture enables the improvement of crop quality, greater precision in production, and enhance productivity. It can also reduce the environmental impacts of agricultural systems by collecting data over extended periods. AI is capable of generating seasonal forecasting systems. Then water management. The agricultural sector uses approximately 85% of the planet's water. Nowadays, with AI, irrigation is carried out according to precise planning, where everything is analyzed from soil moisture, temperature, plants' needs, and weather conditions. Then the fourth one was leak detection. It can be used to detect leaks, particularly in water distribution networks or irrigation system, and to use this information to predictive maintenance. Soil mapping, soil moisture mapping is used to analyze the volumetric moisture content of the soil. These maps are typically generated by combining images from the active domain, which is for soil information, and the passive domain, which is the vegetation information. Then the sixth one was data collection. Drones powered by AI are used to survey farms methodically. These drones collect data, such as an early detection of diseases and precise geolocation of infected plants, contribute to optimize crop treatment, and most importantly, a reduction in the use of phytopharmaceutical products. The seed storage, since losses and waste account for 30% of global agricultural production, AI can be used for predictive monitoring of seeds. And then the last one is robotics. Farmers can use AI-powered robots to address the labor shortages in some locations. And irrigation robots can also be used, and they are operational 24/7. And guess what? Without taking holidays.
Would you be able to tell us a bit more about the current state of research and initiatives?
Yeah, of course. So significant numbers of initiatives have been implemented in recent years, including the France 2030 program in collaboration with INRAE, which is France National Research Institute for Agriculture, Food and Environment. And under the Priority Research and Equipment Program, or PEPR, one of the objectives is to strengthen the arsenal of tools for producing and exploiting digital data. For instance, this involves characterizing genetic resources in plants and animals more quickly and efficiently, or feeding evaluation models for the impact of agroecological practices. It also seeks to work with stakeholders across the sectors to co-create new generations of digital agricultural equipment aimed at simplifying certain farming tasks. A final objective is to measure the impact of these digital innovation on the environment and farmers. And there are other initiatives that I've mentioned in the report. I could mention one which is not totally new, but interesting. It is from the European Space Agency's mission to provide a global picture of soil surface moisture every 3 days with a precision of 4% at spatial resolution of 50 kilometers. This is comparable to detecting a teaspoon of water mixed into a handful of soil.
Oh, that's impressive. What about irrigation in particular? Can AI be a valuable resource?
The agricultural sector is by far the largest consumer of water for crop irrigation, as I mentioned earlier. It accounts for approximately 9% of water withdrawals, but 48% of water consumption. It is the most water-intensive sector in the sense that the water absorbed by plants is not returned locally. The decision support systems or business intelligence tools offer the ability to establish predictive models that, for example, can simulate water retention in a field or the plant's water stress to predict irrigation needs. Machine learning is a new approach that can produce quantitative prediction models. It can predict the quantity of water required to achieve the production target. It is also possible to build a qualitative prediction model using classification methods, which can, for example, predict the expected yield class, low, medium, or high, and consequently the water needed to achieve that yield. This is, I find, quite extraordinary. And the use of big data and artificial intelligence to estimate crop evapotranspiration at the management zone level is also employed in precision agriculture. And this methodology helps farmers and water resource managers adjust their irrigation strategies more effectively and sustainably, considering spatial variations in evapotranspiration within the field. I would also say that optimizing irrigation system is a must, and this area resilience irrigation can be implemented in different ways, either by delivering the precise amount of water or by supplementing water when it's required, but for crops with low water requirements. As I mentioned earlier in the detection and management of leaks, AI can be used by analyzing acoustic signals to identify leaks. I believe it's no longer acceptable to lose an average of 1 liter out of every 5 in water distribution networks.
I understand that public-private partnerships could be beneficial to both parties. Do you have a few examples?
Yes, certainly. So INRAE, Gustave Eiffel University, and the companies Aquasis and Meos have announced the launch of a collaborative project. And this project aims to support the adaptation of irrigated agricultural systems to climate change through an innovative digital decision support service. And the project is based on a dual agronomic and hydrological modeling approach, artificial intelligence and satellite imagery to anticipate changing in available water resources and irrigation needs for crops in a defined territory. And the project aims to create a reference tool for collective irrigation management, providing various stakeholders as farmers, water resource collective management organization, local water commissions, etc., with the means of to make informed decisions, and this should help achieve this challenging balance between sustainable irrigated agriculture and environmental protection.
We've mainly talked about how AI is used in developed countries. What's the status in developing countries?
Indeed, and I found a few initiatives that I have listed, and I could mention one as an example. In Brazil, a company has developed a flexible environmental monitoring analysis platform. And this platform is a comprehensive and efficient solution for environmental monitoring in various applications, such as irrigated and non-irrigated agriculture, animal welfare, water quality, amongst others. And the platform relies on AI-based technologies, domestic sensors, and intuitive graphics. It enables users to evaluate the entire history of their applications in real time, facilitating decision-making. In Africa, a company called CleanTag aims to provide agricultural decision-makers with operational climate data, such as the start of the raining season or the duration of a dry period, which is a very useful tool where many people rely on subsistence farming for their daily survival.
I understand that AI is not without risks for agriculture. What are those risks?
There are indeed different types of risks that I have identified. AI and digital technology plays a decisive role in our societies, but it must not be an end in itself. I classify those risks under 4 main categories. The first one is technical and technological risks. For example, something that AI could prove catastrophic and threaten national security. Some are particularly concerned that an AI system with all these capabilities could spread online, causing significant damage and escaping human control. This concern raises the issue of the future development trajectory of AI and its implications for public policy. In France, the Commission for Artificial Intelligence has suggested the need to establishing an AI authority to have the means to secure large AI models and their usage while fostering their development. The second one is environmental risk. On one side, AI brings its benefits to our societies, which are facing formidable challenges, starting with climate change. On the other side, it proves to be resource hungry, requiring water and electricity both during the training phase of its tools and throughout their entire life cycle. The development of digital technologies inevitably leads to an increase in our environmental footprint. Indeed, it is estimated that between 2010 and 2025, so very soon, the digital sector's contribution to the global environmental footprint will rise from 2.5% to just under 6%. Then the third one is social and ethical risk. The Commission for Artificial Intelligence recommended that France could promote the 1% AI solidarity mechanism, whereby all international actors investing in computing power would commit to allocating 1% of it to developing countries. This is a noble wish, which for now has not found any consensus, I'm afraid. And then ethical issues are being discussed, but it's difficult, probably, I would say, impossible to create a consensus around the globe. And the solution, according to a professor of ethics I have interviewed, would, and I quote, lie in creating ethical code hubs, that is, groupings based on shared values. Since ethics emanates from values, these hubs would allow communities with common values to define broad ethical rules, even meta-ethics, general principle that could then be adapted and applied by different actors. What is currently missing is the existence of these hubs. And then the last one is legal and regulatory risks. In the field of AI, three major issues arise. The first one is the lack of specific legal framework for AI. For many AI-related products or technologies, legal rules are still lacking. The second one is the prevalence of what is called soft law. Much of the current regulation relies on recommendations rather than positive law with sanctions. The last one is rapid obsolescence. Once adopted, laws can already be outdated due to the rapid evolution of technologies, as seen with the AI Act.
So, what is the long-term vision for sustainable and smart agriculture, do you think?
In my opinion, the adoption of digital agriculture must go hand in hand with a comprehensive approach to sustainability, including the preservation of natural resources, the protection of biodiversity, and the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. There are ways we can try to combine all those elements. Agroecology is one way, as it encompasses several practices that can be implemented to move towards agriculture that is less water intensive, particularly by aiming to capture and retain as much water as possible in the soil. The reuse of wastewater is another. When you think that around 8% of current global freshwater withdrawals, nearly equivalent to the volume distributed by municipalities worldwide, could be recovered each year from wastewater, I think there is clearly a need to change matters. And I can also mention regenerative hydrology, which is a new concept which seeks to bring together design and land management practices. There is also agrivoltaism in its early stages, but with some promising results, with a 30% decrease in irrigation needs. There's also desalination, which is well advanced in the Middle East and in Spain, where 22% is dedicated to agricultural irrigation. And finally, I should mention agroforestry, which is combining wood trees with field crops or vineyards, and has proved to reduce evaporation losses, for example.
What would be the key to the success of the AI water resource combination?
I'm one of those who believe that regulation is necessary to ensure the protection of both individual and society as a whole. I don't think AI is the ultimate solution, but I do believe that a combination of approaches is likely the best strategy, as it will depend on factors such as the country, the soil, the types of crops, the size of the farmland, and so on. It cannot be a one-size-fits-all solution. The Commission for Artificial Intelligence has made several recommendations, which I have listed and found to be sensible. And I also believe that farmers should receive training to develop the skills needed to implement these solutions and being able to interpret the results. In essence, I believe that we must aim for a model in which values of inclusivity, knowledge sharing, collaboration, and even empowerment will be at the heart of concerns for the agricultural sector.
You've made some recommendations in your thesis. Would you like to outline a few?
Since I'm not an expert in this field, I didn't attempt to reinvent the wheel, but rather identify solutions that seems reasonable while also adding a few of my own insights. On water resources, for example, I suggested that collaboration is a must. Combine new solutions, existing know-how, and indigenous knowledge to guide the decision makers of tomorrow. Introduce a tax for farmers who exceed a set threshold of water usage. On AI technology, I suggested to fund open platforms that aggregate relevant data and models to monitor water resources and to include public and agricultural engagement in raising awareness in AI-based initiatives to address the drivers of water scarcity. And then on alternative methods, I suggested to train and raise awareness among farmers worldwide about these alternatives and ancestral techniques, and also to collaborate with the agro-industry to change habits and promote healthier eating.
Well, thank you, Florence, for this comprehensive overview. I hope our audience will enjoy listening to this podcast. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact Florence directly, who will be delighted to answer any of those questions. That's all we have time for today, but thank you for listening.
Thank you, Julia, for having me on this podcast today. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation.